thanks for choosing to download this Late Night Linux Family podcast. We're only able to do this because of the people who support us. None of our shows are paywalled, but our Patreon supporters can get most episodes early and never hear any ads. Learn more at latenightlinux.com/support or support us by telling a friend or colleague about everything we do. Hello and welcome to episode 384 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 4th of May 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelan.
The Consciousness Delusion.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
We don't talk about Richard here, I'm afraid.
Can I not just say I hate him anyway?
I mean, you can, if you like. Anyway, before we get going, another plug for the piss-up that we're going to have at the Shipwrights Arms. So this is Saturday the 27th of June, which is not that long away now, actually. It's only less than a couple of months. So this is in London, right near London Bridge Station. Nothing formal, just get together, have a few drinks, have a few chats, 6 p.m. until late. Saturday the 27th of June in London. Be there and be square. One of the organisers of Seagull, S-E-A-G-L, got in touch to ask us to plug their call for presentations. So this is a community conference in Seattle. I think the GL is GNU Linux or something. Anyway, so if you're in the Seattle area, go to this conference. It's supposed to be good. I don't know. Also, thanks a lot, everyone, for your feedback on the AI determinism thing. We got quite a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, but we predicted we would.
We did predict we would.
That was a joke.
Right. Well, it was a joke, but also true, because I said we're going to get so much fucking feedback about this, and we did. And it seems to come down to this temperature setting, and setting it to 0 makes it more likely to be determinate. Whatever, I don't know. But yes, thank you, everyone. It's clearly touched a nerve with people. And I had as many people telling me that I was wrong as telling me that you and Will were wrong, Graham. So
Funny, I didn't see those, Joe.
No, they really filtered out.
Yeah, they were sent to you personally, I guess.
Yeah, funny that. And also, recently we had this chat about trusting new distros. Someone wrote in about that. And that was good fun, I think. So definitely send us more questions like that. show@latenightlinux.com if you want us to just discuss something or you've got a question or whatever. Right, news then. Ubuntu 26.04 has come out. And this is actually quite a big release. There's a few standout things to me. Has anyone upgraded to this or installed it?
God, no.
I want to. I'm desperate for it. The new kernel is supposed to fix a lot of my performance issues on whatever the Intel Core Ultra 7 thing is that's in my laptop. But two problems with that. One is I won't upgrade until the point release because who knows what's going on. And then there's that whole Ubuntu not being available thing, which I'm sure we'll come on to.
So I'm recording this from this release because I have a company laptop and we're supposed to only run LTS releases. So it's as soon as one is released, I update the laptop.
Right.
But don't tell anyone I'm running KDE on it.
Good man.
Because one of the big standouts for the desktop, at least, is that it's Wayland only now.
Yeah.
But I did a test on a laptop that I picked up from the OggCamp swaps table, which is an old MacBook Air, an 11-inch 2014 MacBook Air. And I tried my YouTube test with it, where I do full screen YouTube, charge it all the way up, do full screen YouTube, run a cron job every minute to log the battery percentage, and then just see how many minutes it goes for. On Ubuntu 26.04, about 90 minutes, not bad. On Ubuntu with GNOME and Wayland, 144 minutes.
Whoa, that's a difference.
Yes.
Even with my shunky maths.
Yeah. So presumably that's power management stuff. That's Wayland generally. So I'm kind of keen to use GNOME on this laptop, I think. Another big thing is the Rust-based sudo and core utils. Although CP, MV and RM are still GNU because they didn't they didn't make it, as it were, because they did an audit, Canonical. They paid an external company and not everything made it for this release, but they're aiming for 100% of the Rust core utils next time.
Do any of you use sudo rs?
I don't know, and I don't care. As long as it works, that's really the primary motivator for me. I mean, we talked about this previously, right? But I don't think I'll notice any difference, and I'm sure that is one of their goals.
I've been using it for the last 6 months, ever since we were at the talk where they said they worked with the previous owner or writer of sudo. I thought, okay, this is actually quite good, because I thought it was a bit, I don't know, I took the whole, it seems a bit harsh to be rewriting someone else's tool, then, we're just going to boot it out of the way. But no, because the fact that I work with them, I thought, wow, this is a different type of project. I installed it, and yeah, it has been working great for the last 6 months, so happy days.
Well, I upgraded loads of my Ubuntu laptops to 2604 probably in the last month. And so therefore started using a lot of this Rust-based stuff and just haven't noticed. And I think that's the whole point of it, isn't it? That you just don't notice. The only thing I have noticed is the sudo password feedback. So now you get the asterisks. Like has been default in Linux Mint for as long as I can remember. Now you actually get a bit of feedback. You type your password in, it's not just blank, which I think makes sense on the desktop, but not really on the server. I mean, Phelim, what do you think?
If you can look at a set of asterisks and tell that it's a 6-character password, then that person needs to be done to with something hard. Because if your password is of a decent length, they're not going to look at it and go, oh, no, that was 12 characters, not 13. I've got that fucker. No, you've got to have decent passwords there. And letting you know that you're typing in the correct window is far more valuable than you typing that into IRC.
Yes.
Which has been far more damaging and annoying and left me having to reset passwords before. So, I'm all for that.
It's trivial to turn that feature off. So, it's not the end of the world, is it?
And to be honest, I find it's actually more useful to know where feedback is in what terminal, to be quite honest. There's nobody going to shoulder surf my password. It's too long.
And apt 3.2 is in this. So this is the newer apt, which is just way better. But they've removed software and updates. It's called software-properties-GTK if you want to put it back in. And that I've always found to be a very useful GUI to manage stuff to do with software and updates. So it's a bit of a shame they've removed it. I kind of see why they removed it, because you search the menu for, software and you get like Software Center or App Center or whatever, and this thing, which is a GUI for more organizing your repos and stuff. So it sort of makes sense that they removed it, but it's a little bit annoying because I use it a fair bit. And crucially, the additional drivers bit of it appears to now be broken. And I don't know why, but I've actually got 2 laptops, the MacBook Air that I talked about, and also listener Joss came to OggCamp and gave me a huge gaming laptop. It's like an Asus ROG thing, Republic of Gamers, and that's got a 1080 card in it. And so I tried to get the drivers for that. The MacBook needs drivers for the Wi-Fi, and it just doesn't work. It just does that searching for drivers and then never finds anything. And so I've had to install 2404, install the drivers, and then upgrade, which is very annoying.
So what's the expectation for people who want to, change the NVIDIA driver from the closed source one to the open source one? They expect to do that through the command line now?
I don't know, I suppose so. I can't see any other GUI way to do it. I suppose the expectation is you just tick the install proprietary shit during the installer, and then it just all happens in the background, no problem.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, really. If it's working, you don't need to monkey with it. So perhaps encouraging people to go in and twiddle those things actually causes more harm than it does good.
That's probably the reasoning behind it, and it's probably sensible ultimately.
So I've just searched while you've been talking, and the command apparently is now Ubuntu-drivers, space devices for those proprietary drivers you've got, and then Ubuntu-drivers, space install for the recommended drivers for those devices.
Right. I need to try this then. But just for the longest time, whenever I've had something with a graphics card or a Wi-Fi card that needed the proprietary drivers, I've always used this GUI. So I don't mind using the command to do it, but it just feels weird that the way I've always done it has changed now.
Yeah, I agree. And it should have been documented more clearly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who's in trouble?
Yeah, what are you even doing over there, Graham?
Living the life.
Literally your job. Not your specific job, but yeah, get on that.
I know whose job it is, though.
Right, well, ping him immediately. The other standout for me is Linux firmware has now been split into 18 vendor-specific sub-packages. So instead of like half a bloody gigabyte every time something changes. It's broken down into smaller packages, which, Phelim, I think you will welcome, won't you?
Just a bit, yeah. The everlasting download that never quite downloaded at half the time was quite annoying, so I'm all for this.
Well, that is especially a problem when the Ubuntu infrastructure isn't running at full capacity, shall we say. And over the last few days, at least since kind of the back end of last week, there's been this DDoS going on, and it's taken down at various points, like the Snap Store, the Ubuntu website. I mean, I was trying to download the ISO, I think, on Friday, Saturday, and just could not download it. And then I was trying to update my snaps, sudo snap refresh, and it was just timing out, just giving me an error. And it turns out that this is a pro-Iran group, as the register calls it, so quite possibly state-sponsored. And they've even been kind of demanding money to stop. This is not good.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess with that quantity of machines attacking, most providers are going to die anyway. I mean, you see it with bigger people than Canonical. It's almost impossible to stop it. If they get their idea to attack you, then it's costing you money to defend against that type of thing as well. So wouldn't like to be on the receiving end of it, and I'm sure some people had an absolutely shocking weekend.
Well, absolutely. I have a lot of sympathy for the people having to deal with this at Canonical. But at the same time, this is not Whiteley Tech or the Late Night Linux family. This is not 2-bit operations. Sorry, Phelim, but...
How dare you, sir? We could take it. Send it out my way. I'll show you. No, don't do that at all.
This is a company that is trying to IPO. Canonical, how many employees is there now? Like well over 1,000. This is not some Mickey Mouse operation. And this is not a good look, especially as all in as Canonical and Ubuntu is with snaps. For your Snap Store to be down, that's really not a good situation.
Yeah, but there's bigger companies than Canonical that have been absolutely blown off the web by it as well. I mean, even the likes of probably Microsoft recently have had things like that happen. I can't think of them off the top of my head because it doesn't seem like news. But that's the problem.
No, when Microsoft goes down, that's because of fuck-ups, not because of attacks.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got somebody who has control of a load of Trojan machines everywhere and they just point them at your direction, I mean, the sky's the limit as to what you'd have to be able to beat that down in some sense.
Well, there are mitigations that I have seen companies do. Some of them are not the most ideal, shall we say, the likes of Cloudflare, for example. It suggests to me that Canonical isn't prepared for this kind of thing. I mean, demonstrably, they are not prepared for a massive DDoS. And maybe they should be, is what I'm saying.
I was looking back to see, could I find what one of the recent largest ones was. So back in the 4th of December 2025, there was a 29.7 terabyte per second DDoS going on. Okay, you can say that maybe they need to boost things, maybe they need to work with different partners, spread load across different CDNs, whatever. But if someone wants to take you offline, they could take you offline, I'm pretty sure of. And let's face it, even if you say we're on the likes of Cloudflare, what was Cloudflare's last outage was them fucking up their DNS. It's almost impossible to not have these issues, I think. You can spend like money, you can have a checkbook that you can just keep writing checks off. You can still end up fucked at the end of it though.
Well, yes, but Cloudflare fucking up the DNS is one thing. But if you are employing proper DDoS mitigations, the likes of Cloudflare, and there are some others as well, but let's just say Cloudflare, then this could have been mitigated, or maybe not completely avoided, but it would have been a lot less bad. And this surely has to be a wake-up call for Canonical. As I said, Shuttleworth has talked about IPOing. You cannot do an IPO as a tech company and be falling victim to this shit. Like, they have to get their shit together and protect their infrastructure, because this is not the last time this is going to happen, probably. And so surely, internally at Canonical, they must be drawing up plans to avoid this in the future. And this is massively embarrassing for them. And they don't want to be embarrassed by this in the future. I mean, I'm only guessing here, but surely that has to be the situation.
So you're telling me that if someone had, say, the likes of Cloudflare, then they have a impenetrable network that can never be taken out?
No, I'm not saying that it's like impenetrable and can never be taken out. I'm saying that the likes of Cloudflare, whose job is literally to avoid this for companies, and they'll charge you handsomely for it. Obviously, they've got free tiers for smaller organizations and stuff, but if you are willing to pay the likes of Cloudflare to avoid this, then this could have been avoided. It's as simple as that.
Could have, though. It's not necessarily going to be avoided. If someone is persistent and has enough drones in their army to attack you with, they'll take you out.
Well, I'm going to say this. If they had employed the likes of Cloudflare, this would not have happened.
Yeah, and last month they would have been taken offline by a fucking DNS outage because Cloudflare can't fucking manage their own procedures properly. Like, what is it? It's either we have things that are, impenetrable to a DDoS by their massive network, or massive incompetence taken out by their network, the same company. I think the less monolith sort of siloed network infrastructure, the fucking better, and less fucking single points of failure like we constantly see the likes of AWS and Azure.
I agree with you, Phelim, in theory, but in practice, if you are an organization of a sufficient size, then you essentially need to do shit like that. Otherwise, this is the result. Days and days and days of outages of key infrastructure, people not being able to update their machines, crucially not being able to update their snaps, which is fucking unforgivable. The whole fucking selling point of snaps is that they auto-update and you don't have to worry about it. And now suddenly tens, hundreds of customers, thousands of customers potentially are worried that their snaps are not updating. And not to mention this fucking copy fail thing that happened at the same time, which we'll probably get onto. This is a very, very bad look for Canonical. And the only way to avoid it in the modern day, and I'm not saying this is ideal or good,
is endless money. You're right.
No, is throwing money at the right organizations, the likes of Cloudflare. And I fucking hate Cloudflare.
There is no right organization. They're all fucking incompetent. They just do it at different times of the week. If you're looking for a perfect network, it is impossible. Someone is motivated enough or hostile enough, they'll take you out. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. They will take you out.
I now understand how Will and Graham felt last time when me and Phelim dug our heels in over that determinism thing.
I know that I don't know enough to mitigate a massive DDoS attack on my network, but I will say this. When the Ubuntu servers went down, I thought, oh, that's odd, because I hadn't really seen it before. When they were down for more than about 10 minutes, then I see people pinging each other saying, oh, is Ubuntu down for you? Yes. Oh, me too. Isn't that strange? Like, it's such a weird thing to have happened because over the last 10 plus years, those servers have been rock solid for millions and millions of users. It's an impressive feat that they got this far without having to endure something like this. But I also think it shows that they're not legitimate, that's the wrong word. They are a target now. They're a public figure, if you like, and they can be a target. So I think that they've done a good job so far. I'm sure that they will work the problems out, but I kind of believe Phelim where it is basically impossible to avoid this situation. But we'll see.
Well, let's talk about this copy fail thing. Phelim, you probably know more about it than I do, so try and explain it to me.
Yes, a one-eyed man is better than a blind man, I suppose. But yeah, so this was a crypto algorithm that had a user space interface to it, and there was a bug in that code. And the problem is that code could be called without any special magic libraries or anything like that. You could call it from a very simple Python library, whatever, various ways of trying it out. And you didn't have to be, a root user. You didn't have to do anything. As long as you had a user account on the box or, in some way a user account that could run code. So that meant things like CIDC systems where people were able to upload their own functions to do various checks or what that. I imagine things like GitHub pages, whatever.
GitHub Actions, you mean? Yeah,
whatever. I don't care about any of those things. Well, I wonder if GitHub pages actually might also do it. I don't know. I have no idea.
Worth a try.
Yeah. But you've got things like Docker containers, things like that. It's a shared kernel. So, something in that container could then screw over the whole main machine. And the problem was it went back all the way back to 2017 when a patch went in to try and fix something up. And that had been sat there for ages.
And crucially, this was not really disclosed properly. It was disclosed to the kernel team.
Oh, it was terrible.
But none of the fucking distros.
Terrible.
So the kernel got patched, But then all the distros was like scrambling around like, oh shit, we haven't got the latest fixes from the kernel. And it took a few days to patch it. And so there was a period of time there where there were a lot of boxes that were vulnerable to this. And we're not talking about like my laptop. Like, yes, that was vulnerable, but ultimately that's not really the danger. The danger is these multi-tenant boxes, as they call it, like where you've got multiple users all sharing a kernel, whether that is containers or CI/CD, as you said, like that's where the problems were going to come from this. And it was not disclosed in a properly responsible way, was it?
No, it was shocking. And a lot of it, I even saw that thing come up and I had it in a bunch of tabs. And it was only by the fact that somebody else pinged me and went, oh, have you seen that? I said, oh yeah, I've got it in my to read later thing. He went, no, you might want to read it now. I was like, oh shit, right, okay. So like they had the vanity URL up already. They, in their inverted commas, assumed they had, notified every property, but it didn't go to any distros. I could, all across Mastodon, you could see people from various distros going, yeah, that was a great weekend. I really enjoyed that. It's like, as they frantically think. Now, the only thing that could be said for it was the fact that it was easy to mitigate. So I had a fleet of servers and I was able to just tell it to unload the various ALG module and then inserted a don't load this into the mod probe thing. And that was easily done. But, if somebody didn't have something like that set up, are they going to have to go around every bloody box and patch it like that? You could just imagine the nightmare of all those people who fell for the containers are great thing. Luckily, I havenent. So, sure, what wasn't affected? KVM wasn't affected. Proper VMs weren't affected. Ha, 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 ha. No, I don't mean that really. Terrible weekend.
Well, and crucially, this has been patched in all the major distros now. So update your shit, basically, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it's not right that we had that period where people had to scramble. That's really not how this should work.
No, because especially you were like vulnerable for the entire time it was there, and it was easy to check that you were vulnerable as well. It's not like you had to, do a remote exploit and then see if it worked. No, you were just, as long as you were on there, you were grand.
But this kind of ties in with another thing, which is a blog post from Julian Voisin, I don't know how you say that, Carrot Disclosure 4JO, where they talk about finding vulnerabilities in 4JO and then just being really smug about like, oh, well, clearly they don't know what they're doing, so I'm not going to report them responsibly. The whole thing's a shit show and I'm too good for this, so I'll just like release a redacted exploit and just, they call it carrot disclosure, like, dangle the carrot of fix your shit rather than doing it responsibly. And there is a follow-up post where they talk about the shit they got for this, and fucking rightfully so, frankly. This is arsehole behavior. If you find vulnerabilities in software, there are official channels to disclose it responsibly so they can patch it before you start telling the world about it. And by all means afterwards, take all the credit, I found this thing and whatever, but this is not how to do it. Again, this is two examples of just people not doing it properly.
I feel like we talked about this topic a while back, and I can't remember what it was. It might have been Heartbleed or something like that, where it seems that the vanity domain name is registered weeks before the announcement comes, even like the disclosure to the project comes. And people are more motivated by notoriety than they are about doing the right thing. And I guess that's capitalism for you.
Well, the way I see it, like, it can be both. Like, you can do it properly, responsibly. You can coordinate with everyone, all the stakeholders, as they call it. And then right at the point where it gets publicly disclosed, you can have your website up and you can take all the credit for it and draw attention to your business or your services, whatever it is. And that's fine. Have your silly name for it and your website and your vanity URL and all the rest of it. As long as you've done the first bit properly, that's fine. Take credit for it. Be the, 15 minutes of fame and all the rest of it. That's absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned, as long as you do the first bit properly.
And what a better way to appear it with something the far end when you say you're the one who found it, helped out and, did it responsibly, maybe even contributed fixes, whatever. But it does seem a bit like finger pointing of, oh, look at how shit that code is, and then walking away from it. Like it's all too easy to point out the flaws in a thing, I think, especially these days if people are developing tools that they're using, remote attack tools to do it and things like that. It's just too easy to find the flaws and not easy enough to actually maintain and fix these projects.
Yeah. It's just people being assholes as far as I'm concerned and having their priorities wrong. The priority is get the fame and everything rather than actually do the good thing and then take credit for it. The Steam controller is finally available. And it's, I think, $99 in America and £85 here, which is quite a lot for a controller. I was looking at Xbox controllers, which are, about half that roughly. We'll link to an Ars Technica review of it where Kyle Orland says it's a fucking good controller, but it is a bit pricey. Are any of you going to buy one? I suppose that is the key thing here.
I am quite tempted. One of the nicest controllers I've used recently was the Stadia controller, and it's still going strong and it's still a really nice controller, but it doesn't quite work perfectly with Linux. It's fine, but it doesn't work perfectly. The other good controller I like is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller for the Switch 2. Lovely controller. It's got little paddle things on the back, and that I think is about 75 quid. So it's not a lot more money than something comparable, I think. Where this is ahead is that it's going to work really well in Steam, especially on Linux. All of those mappings are going to work out of the box. You've got the, what do they call it, touchpad things that you can then use on a desktop machine to move a mouse around. And I think it's going to work really, really well. So I am quite tempted. Also, my kids are really fussy about the controllers they have. I've always bought them sort of cheapo Xbox knockoff USB ones, but they're insistent that they want wireless ones now. So this could be it.
Yeah, and they come with this puck thing, which is super low latency. It's like the receiver and also the charger. And you can connect two controllers to one puck, which is pretty cool. It looks and presumably feels a lot like a Steam Deck. I mean, it looks like they've just basically taken the controls off a Steam Deck and put them into a controller. Graham, do you find yourself using the touchpads on the Steam Deck ever?
Not very often, but I do use them. I use them in desktop mode, for example, and it's good to know they're there in case I find myself in a mouse-driven game.
Yeah, because that's the appeal of this, isn't it? That it's got the touchpads for mouse-driven games.
The haptic feedback is brilliant on those things. The fact that it's a sound, but you feel the click of moving at a certain speed. And I have to say, I'm surprised I've not bought one today on the day of release. And I think it's because it's just a little bit too expensive to be that kind of purchase. And I think I've said to you before, I play games in the living room with a long HDMI cable from my PC. And previously I used to use an Xbox controller with a dongle because of the latency, but the dongle isn't powerful enough to reach the living room. So I've been using two Stadia controllers with Bluetooth, which is noticeably there's more latency in that. And so what I've read about this is that this would solve the problems for two controllers, but that's £200. And it's just not something I feel excited about. That's a significant chunk. If it was slightly cheaper, I would be all for it. But as it is, it's going to be, a rainy day purchase when I'm bored on the internet.
That's good frame fund damage that you might be doing there with that 100.
Yeah.
Speaking of, have you heard anything and can tell us when to buy it?
No, I think...
Come on, Graham, you must know. You secretly must know. I don't know how.
No, I've been scanning the rumours on the internet, but no, there's nothing. No. It wouldn't surprise me if they release a version with less RAM, and they do that earlier.
So it's already out of stock in the UK, at least, the Steam controller. It's £85. We get this kind of 100 figure because that's how much it is in America, but it's only 85 here. But that is still, it's not something that you're just going to impulse buy, is it?
Yeah.
You're going to have to think about it. And, well, you've thought about it too long because now it's out of stock. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'm not bothered. I haven't felt like I've missed out. So maybe that says something too.
Yeah.
I can get by, I think. I can get by without it. It's not essential, but I would like one.
Well, let's hope that this is foreshadowing for the release of the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame, but somehow I doubt it. I don't think we're going to get them this year, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. Right, well, we'd better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelim.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.